Welcome to the class. The last class we had seen the basic definition of center of mass, calculation of center of mass of different geometries with respect to the coordinate system. We have calculated coordinates of center of mass, and in the last problem we had seen the calculation of center of gravity. The center of gravity coincides with the center of mass if the g is means acceleration due to gravity is same. And we are also seen the problem where reaction forces have calculated and frictional force also calculated. Now in this class we will see the motion of the center of mass. What is that? That is velocity of the center of mass, acceleration of the center of mass, and if the force is acting on the body, how to write the formula and how the mass is said to be concentrated, what are the particles inside it, and how the internal forces contribute the motion and how they cancel it, and why don't we write the internal force contribution in the formula and what are the reasons behind it, we shall see in this class. Now this is the x coordinate of center of mass. In general we can write a y coordinate, z coordinate. In general we will write it as a capital R is equals to m1 r1 plus m2 r2 plus so on by that total m1 plus m2. This is called as m mass. We would write it as this is summation mi ri by capital M. M into R is equals to summation mi ri. This is the calculation of x coordinate. In generally R can be written. So how to do that? We will take differentiation or derivative, differentiating on both sides with respect to time. With respect to time, how to write this one? D by dt of R, of course m is there, is equal to d by dt of summation mi ri. Right, now m will be taken outside, which is a constant. D by dt of R will be written, right. Now we can extend it, d by dt of m1 r1 plus m2 r2 plus m3 r3 so on. So how to write this one? Now what happens, m is taken outside, dr by dt, which is a derivative with respect to time, is a position. Now we will write it as velocity of the system. We will take m1 dr1 by dt plus m2 dr2 by dt so on. M into v is equals to m1 dr1 by dt, which is written as small v1, m2 v2 and m3, of course v3 you extend it. So this is what actually this is called as first particle momentum, second particle momentum, third particle momentum, because m1, m2, m3 are the masses of the particles inside the body, where velocities are v1, v2, v3 are the velocities of the particles where we consider inside the body, where capital M is the total mass of the system, v is the velocity of the total body. Now Here the m1, m2, m3 are the masses which are constant, which would not be changed. That's what we have taken outside. Again, differentiate with respect to time. Then what we write, m into dv by dt is equal to m1 dv1 by dt plus m2 dv2 by dt plus m3 dv3 by dt, so on. What is the meaning of differentiation of velocity with respect to time? We will write it as m into a, which is m1, and dv1 by dt, velocity of the particle with respect to time, differentiating rate of velocity of first particle. We'll write acceleration a1 and m2 a2 m3 a3, so on. So this is about first particle, second particle, third particle. This is complete body, right? Now how to write this one, and which is called as ma, which is called force F is equals to, you write it as F1 plus F2 plus F3, so on. The forces acting on the individual particles is sum is equal to the total force which is acting on the body. Here the force acting on the first particle is not only a single force, the force which is acting on the second particle also. So this is completely the force which is acted on externally. Why I am calling it as externally means, there are internal forces according to Newton's third law. So in a body there are number of particles, are there huge number of particles. One particle may be interacting with other particle. If one particle is acting force on the other particle, in the same way other particle acts on the first particle in the reverse direction. For every action there is a equivalent reaction in the opposite direction. But action on the one body is considered, reaction on the other body to be taken. Both action reaction cannot be acted on the single body. Here suppose if you consider as a body where it is comprised of number of particles are there. If the first particle acting on a force on the second particle, then similarly second particle acting on the first particle, so in opposite direction, so that the total vector sum of the internal forces in a body which is acting internally gets cancelled. Sum of the internal forces is equals to 0. Sum of the internal forces which is equals to 0. F internal is equals to 0. Now I am writing it as MA, which is acting on the body, which is called as F external. Now we will write it as F external is equal to F1 plus F2 plus F3, so on. This is the total force acting on the body, which is equivalent to individual particles will experience the force simultaneously, and at the same time internal forces can act internally. They will cancel each other. The sum of the internal forces will become 0. Here the internal force or forces within the body, and what are the contributions of internal forces to the body. Actually the knowledge of internal force is not required, because they could not, or they will not contribute to the effect of position of center of mass. We will see simple example also. Actually we need not to specify the nature of the system of the particles. Basically the system is maybe a collection of particles in which there is will be all kind of internal motions. Maybe a rigid body, it has either pure translation motion or rotational motion, or combination of rotational and translation motion. In all last chapters, we had seen that a body like a lorry or a car, we observed that it is a simple body as particle. We need not consider the internal particles. The whole system of the body has mass m and force acted on it is F, and we observed that the acceleration of the body and velocity of the body and displacement of the body as seen. And the importance of internal motions of the particles inside it we have not considered. Right now, let's see a simple bomb explosion and how the center of mass is affected on this. Let's say that a body has been projected. Body might be like a bomb. Now, due to internal forces, of course, the path of the body is parabola. Now, what is happening here? Due to internal forces, it has been exploded, means it has been divided into fragments. The initial body is divided into two fragments. What happens? Suppose let us say this is a body which is being divided, and this is other body, but the center of mass, if you observe it, the center of mass is having the same path, even internal forces are there or internal forces are not present, simply as if that if it is not exploded into bombs in fragments, the same it would be continued the same as like this one. So here the part which is taken into fragments, but this is the path of center of mass. Center of mass would be continued without explosion. This is with explosion. So this is called center of mass path. This is center of mass. Earlier, what is the external field which is happening? External force which is happening, which is called as a gravitational force or gravitational field. Gravitational field is a default force which is acting on it, and here this is gravitational force here also. Now external force still being present. So without explosion, with explosion the path is same. Now what are the contributions of internal forces in affecting the path of the center of mass? That is obviously zero. Now zero, because no effect is there. Internal forces could not affect the path of the center of mass. The initial fragments, you see that this is a one body, other body, the combination is center of mass here. If it is being going through here and the center of mass is here, so the internal forces could not be affected, will not affect. That's what we will not discuss internal effects that much. Here the heavy nucleus radium is going in a uniform motion. Suddenly it has been divided like a fission process. It is integrates into two nuclei. One is radon, other one is a helium alpha particle. Because we know that natural radioactivity, heavy nucleus always not stable. The unstable nucleus will disintegrate, will divide into other nuclei. It is being transmuted, means changed to radium to radon. What is the path of the center of mass? Still it is being there. Center of mass is same, because we will consider it as one body and another body. The combination of the system will have center of mass here. As they move, this is center of mass will be having the same like. So this being exploded or divided due to internal forces, but the path of this center of mass cannot be affected. Now we see that again the radium, the same splitting of a heavy nucleus of radium with a center of mass which is at rest. Center of mass which is at rest. What is happening here? This is a radon and this is helium. So what is happening? Still it is being center of mass, still it is being rest. They will be going to back. This is if we observe this particularly, the decay from the frame of reference in which the center of mass is at rest, right? The motion of the particles which are involved looks very simple, and the product of the particles move back to back with their center of mass remaining at rest. This is what a simple analysis about the center of mass. See this simple trajectory of two stars, we will call it as a double star. The two stars are appear to be completely diametrically opposite. So the first you observe that this is a star over here, and this is the moment second star is appear to be again S2. So what you see, this is called a center of mass. Generally in the astronomy, the binary two double stars is a common occurrence. Generally no external forces are acting on this. Here no external forces acting on it. Now what is happening? The trajectory of two stars are equal masses. We'll see that S1 and S2 will have equal masses. Here we observe that it is appear to be the two stars will be moving in a circular path generally, and it is where the center of mass is located here, it is appear to be at constant. It seems to be very complicated, but internally it is very simple. And how the moment of the first particle and second particle appear to be a circle, the common point is a center of mass. So equal masses are there, obviously the center point can be a center of mass. So this is a laboratory frame of reference. This is the trajectory of two stars are the combination of uniform motion in a straight line, right, and of the center of mass, and circular orbits of stars about the center of mass. So there is a separating the motion of two different parts of system into motion of center of mass, the motion about the center of mass. Now we consider other topic, vector product of two vectors. In the last sessions, I think the 6th chapter, we had seen dot product, where work is a scalar one, where it is a dot product of two vectors f and s. Here in the rotational motion, which is very important because we will discuss about moment of force, angular momentum, torque, like all they are involved in the cross product. We need to know the properties of cross product and how to calculate the vector product, or obviously which is called as a cross product, and how to find the direction of the resultant vector. We shall see one by one. The vector product of two vectors A and B can be written as C is equals to A cross B. Of course, C bar is equal to A bar cross B bar. And how to write this magnitude can be written as C is equal to AB sine theta. Here C is the magnitude of C. This is A is a magnitude of A. B is also magnitude of B, and theta is angle between A and B. Right? How to write that? What is the direction of the C? The direction of the C C means is a vector is perpendicular to plane of A and B. Let's say that simple, this is a vector A is there and vector B is there. AB are in the xy plane, let's say, and z plane, because this is xy plane, two dimensional plane, this paper plane, perpendicular direction, this is a perpendicular direction, will have the direction of C vector. So in order to understand the direction of the vector C, we need to know simple concept like the head, this is a screw and this is a head A is there, and you are turning this head, this vector B is there with an angle theta. While you are, this is screw, while you are turning A to B with making a certain angle, what happens, this screw advances up, Generally you observe it, while you are making a strong screw to the wall, what happens, we will take screwdriver, will make it turn to inside it. When you want to open the screw, what will do, we will move like this, right? The same way, so we are moving to this one. So the screw which is going inside it, the screw is going outside of the wall, I said to be a C direction, vector C direction, means into the plane or out of the plane, where the plane is AB is there. So how the direction is C? C is a perpendicular to plane of A and B. The same can be explained with the right hand screw rule. This is called as a right hand screw rule. We can explain the same simply. This is vector A and this is vector B, angle is theta, these are the fingers, curl fingers, we close it, and while we move A to B, the thumb indicates the direction of the C vector. So the thumb, suppose if you move in this direction, thumb downwards, if you move this one, thumb is upward, this curl fingers and thumb indicates the resultant vector. It is not the cross product. Generally we write it as A dot B is equal to B dot A, but A cross B, which is not equal to B cross A. Magnitude remains same, but direction changes. We are very much particularly to specify with the direction, because it is a vector product. We also call it as a cross product because we indicate with a symbol called as a cross. The another interesting property of a vector product is its behavior under reflection. Suppose if you are observing that this is a vector I vector, this is indicating it as minus I vector. This is J vector, this is minus J vector. If this is K vector, minus K vector out of the plane, and this is into the plane. A cross B, which is equal to minus A cross minus B, which is again A cross B. Same. Okay, but simply you apply once negative, then alternatively changes. A dot B plus C, in the previous chapter you learned it, A dot B plus A dot C. Here A cross B plus C, then how to write A cross B plus A cross C. Similarly, A cross A vector, A cross A simply 0. Similarly here, I cross I 0, J cross J 0, K cross K 0. Why I am writing this? What are IJK? You know that they are called as unit vectors. Why do we write 0 0? Simply we can say I cross I. What is the meaning of it? Mod I sin theta. Just like imagine A cross B, how to write? Mod A mod B sin theta. Theta is the angle between A and B here. What is the magnitude of unit vector? 1 and 1. What is the angle between I vector and another I vector? Let us say, obviously it is 0 degrees. Sin 0 0. That's what vector A is there, and another vector A means will having same direction. Even though suppose A cross 2A, simply again 0, because the angle between them is 0. When theta is 0, obviously sin 0 becomes 0. That's the reason I cross I or J cross J, K cross K is equals to 0. What about I cross J? Not on same. So mod I mod J sin theta. Mod I means 1 magnitude, mod J means 1 sin theta. What is the I vector and J vector angle? Sin 90. Of course, magnitude is 1. What is the direction? I cross J. Just you say I cross J. What is the direction? K vector. According to the right hand thumb rule, when you are moving I to J with an angle 90 degrees, what is thumb indicates? This is called as a K vector. Internally minus K. This is a K vector. This is a K vector. Right? Magnitude is 1. J cross K. What is a J cross K? J cross K, which is called as I. So you can simply remember I, J, K. So in a I cross J, K, J cross K, I, K cross I, J. In reverse way, you will get negative. J cross I minus K. J cross K. What is the meaning of this? This is J cross I. You are moving this one. The curve, the fingers are moving J to I. What the thumb indicates? Downward. What is downward direction? Minus K vector direction. How to calculate the cross product of two vectors as a vector? Let's say vector A is there. You can write it as x component AXI, y component AYJ, z component AZK. B vector, which is written as BXI plus BYJ plus BZK. Now A cross B. For this, we need to write simple a matrix form, which will be easy to convenient to write this I J K. So we'll write this one for, and similarly we write AX component, AY component, AZ component, BX component, BY component, BZ component. Right. Now how to write first? We write I, we write minus J plus K. Just you write it, remove this one I and J. Now what happened? This is called a square matrix AYBZ minus BYAZ. when you say this one AXBZ minus BXAZ. Okay, AXBY minus BXAY. So in that way we can calculate it. So in the form of vector, when you want to find out magnitude, then you can calculate the magnitude as it is. So this is a calculation of magnitude without knowing the angle, because when the angle is not known, we use this one. When angle is there, then obviously we write mod A, mod B, sine theta, theta. In the place of theta we can apply, right? One into one minus of minus one minus j, 1 into 1 minus 2 into 1 2 plus k, 1 into 1 into minus 1 minus 2. So 1 plus 1 2i, and 1 minus 2 minus 1 plus j, and minus 3k. This is a simple cross product of two vectors. Practice the following. These are the simple 4 problems are there. Apply the formula. Here you have to find out mod of AB. So after you will get it as A cross B as a vector, then you find out the magnitude of that vector. Here also A cross B as a vector you will find out. Let's say C. You have to find out magnitude of that C. Here it is perpendicular. The angle between them is 90 degrees. You substitute theta is equals to 90. Then you will get the value.